In this movie, I'll be talking about outline versus border. Now, probably a lot of us have been in this situation where you have two elements here, this guy and then this guy. They're both boxes, they both have a width of 50%, and they're both floated left. Now, we want some way of showing where these elements are, so our first thought might be to add a border. If we add a border, you'll notice that one element goes below the other. Now, why does that happen? They both have a width of 50%. Well, this is actually because of the way the box model works by default. Now, there's another lesson that talks about the box model and how to choose a different box model. If you're looking for a solution to this particular problem, that's probably the best place to go. The reason you may want to choose a different box model is because adding padding will do the same thing. I'm going to show you a different solution though. Now, most of the time that I use outline is when I'd like to add a border so I can see where something is. This is just for debugging, not for the style of the page. You can certainly use outline for the style of the page as well, but debugging is a fantastic use case. So the reason this went below the other one is because although they have a width of 50%, that's the width of the content area. The border itself takes up 5 extra pixels on either corner, which means each element is a little bit too fat. No matter how you resize this, they're still going to take up 50% of the area plus 5 pixels on each side, so 10 pixels. Now if we change border to outline, that somehow magically solves our problem. But why? Well, it turns out border and outline behave pretty much exactly the same way. The major difference is that outline doesn't take up room in the document. You can see it visually, but it doesn't interfere with the positioning of anything else. That means you can give everything an outline of 1 pixel solid red, and now every box will have an outline of 1 pixel solid red. You could even say everything in the document gets an outline of 1 pixel solid red, and now you can see that all of the P's get an outline as well, and so does the element around it. So that right there is the main use case for outline. Anytime you want to add a border, but you don't want to mess with the positioning of anything else. It is important to note, though, that it will mess up the rendering a little bit. Notice how this A is getting trumped, whereas this A is not. In fact, we can see this on a much more massive scale if I make this outline way huge. You can see that although this guy has an outline, we're not seeing it because this element goes all the way out to here, and then it has an outline over here. This element is sitting on top of that, and the outline is going on top of this element here. If you want to play around with this a little bit more, what you can do is you can set box 2 to display none. Now you only have one element, and you can see how this outline is actually not affecting this element or these elements at all. You'll also find that occasionally you get rendering bugs like I just got. When I selected text, things got a little strange. This is another reason that I don't actually use it very much in production code. But again, debugging or developing a website is a fantastic use case for outline.